Hello, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, depending on where you are. Welcome to this webinar hosted by the AsiaGlobal Institute in Hong Kong. I'm Kwok. I'm the Program Director for the AsiaGlobal Fellows Program. Together with us today is Professor Zhiwu Chen, Director for the AsiaGlobal Institute. First of all, welcome and thank you all for participating in this webinar. We have about 80 people signing up from they come from different countries, but in the interest of time, I think we'll start right away. I will first of all give a very brief introduction to the AsiaGlobal Fellows Program, and then we will welcome questions from any participants. If you want to raise a question, please type your question. And please let us know who you are, where do you come from, so that we know roughly the background of the question and we know how to deal with it. First of all, let me give you a very brief introduction to the AsiaGlobal Fellows Program. It is a global leadership development initiative designed to nurture future leaders in public policy. I put a little bit of emphasis on public policy because this is not an MBA program. Our focus is on public policy. It's a 13-week interdisciplinary program consisting of lectures and seminars, leadership skill training workshops, and on-site visits in both Hong Kong and other Asian cities. The program will be primarily based in Hong Kong and supported by the resources of the University of Hong Kong. And because of this, the fellowship provides an opportunity for fellows to analyze global policy issues from Asian perspectives. And fellows will have the opportunity to enhance their understanding of China and East Asia. Intra-fellows learning and the development of a tightly knit network of fellows are key features of our program. And each fellow will also do a policy research project of his or her own choice. The program does not require any tuition fee. Actually, fellows will be provided with accommodation in the campus of the University of Hong Kong, as well as a monthly stipend to cover living expenses while they are in Hong Kong. The 2019 program will run from mid-August to mid-November. We welcome applicants from different backgrounds and different countries, but we look for mid-career individuals who have demonstrated leadership potential in their work in the public sector, private sector, or NGOs. They share a common interest in policy issues and are committed to make a positive impact on society and the world around them. The deadline of application for this cohort of fellows is in January 2019. With this very brief introduction, we will go into the question and answer session. We'll try to answer as many questions as possible, but in case we cannot cover the question you have raised, please feel free to write to us. We will try our best to answer your questions. Let's have the first question.
Before I move on to the first question, let me also say a few quick words. I should also emphasize that as you have all been aware, Asia has become more important than in the past. So the level of interest in Asia has grown a lot, and we strongly believe that countries need leaders who have better understanding of Asia, in particular Asian perspectives on global issues. And also we strongly believe that Hong Kong is a great place actually to conduct learning and as well as build friendship with fellows from other countries, because Hong Kong is home to many expats. So for anyone who does not understand or speak Chinese, Japanese or Korean or Hindu and so on, they will not have any problem living in Hong Kong, because Hong Kong is very, very international. So let me first take a question. This question is, what is the typical week of the program like? This is a very good question. We have been asked a lot of this, from different potential applicants and others. What the fellow does once he or she is here at Hong Kong U. So typically, we have two lectures by either academics or practitioners in policy, business, and civil society. So these two lectures are more or less formally structured around themes that we, I think, have the most appeal to the fellows. And then, in addition to the two lectures, there's also one intra-fellow seminar, because we think learning among the fellows is actually a very, very important part of this program. And then the fourth piece, in the weekly calendar, is a leadership training lecture or lesson. So for this part, we hire professional trainers to teach and train each fellow how to deal with media presentations, media interviews, how to write for public consumption, how to manage groups in an organization, and so on. We also arrange site visits to either organizations, businesses in Hong Kong or in other parts of Asia. So we have a lot of packed activities each week for the fellows, so in order for them to really learn from each other and learn from others, from scholars, successful leaders in various professions and walks of life.
Well, can I supplement Zhiwu's answer by saying that, well, first of all, typically we will reserve every Friday as a research day for the fellows to pursue the research project. And typically we will reserve Wednesday afternoons for the fellows to attend lectures in the University of Hong Kong or do other projects they may find of interest in Hong Kong. But we could continue this discussion of various elements as we move forward. The second question I have here is from our friend from France. Is it compulsory to join all the program activities? I might have to leave Hong Kong for a certain period of time during the program due to some personal reasons. I think this is a very good question. We encounter these kind of requests from time to time from our past fellows. Well, first of all, as a matter of principle, we expect all the fellows to participate fully in the program of the fellowship. I think this is very important because we don't have a large number of fellows. We only have 12 to 15, 16 fellows each year. We want to nurture a very tight friendship network amongst the fellows. So we don't want people keeping going in and out of the program all the time. But having said that, of course, we also understand that there are occasions where there are emergency situations, where there are very special reasons that fellows may be excused for a certain period of time, and therefore we will have some flexibility. But to make it easier for us to manage, we typically do not expect the fellows to leave the program for more than, say, 1 or 2 days. If fellows really need to leave the program or could not attend the activities, they should consult with us very early.
Okay, so the next question is, does the program require any tuition fee? No, this is a fully funded program. As Casey mentioned a moment ago, we cover all the housing and the travel expenses after each fellow gets to Hong Kong. And then, for trips to China or other parts of Asia, we also cover the travel expenses. In addition, every month we pay every fellow a stipend to help fund support their living and getting around in Hong Kong.
Well, we have another question, again, a very relevant and interesting question. Does your program focus on China? Could you elaborate? Well, as I said earlier on, this is a multidisciplinary program focusing on global policy issues from Asian perspectives. So we try to focus on global issues. What that means is, for example, in the last year, we looked at globalization and issues related to globalization, including trade and economic development, as well as the implications of globalization like income disparity, like sustainability or inclusivity in terms of development and so on. We also focus quite a bit on the issues related to technological development, innovation, and what all this innovation and technology will mean for economic and social development, as well as the future society of work and so on. We also put a lot of emphasis on social missions, as well as urban management and so on and so forth. So it is a program of a big variety of subjects. But having said all that, I think since the program is based in Hong Kong, Hong Kong is part of China, Hong Kong is at the interface between China and the rest of the world, and as Zhiwu mentioned earlier on, Hong Kong is also a very international city. We do offer a unique opportunity for the fellows to understand a lot more about China. We will also put some focus on some China-related issues. Actually, from our experience, many fellows want to know more about China, either from the developmental perspective, how developing countries could learn from China, or from the latest development of, say, certain technologies in China, like mobile payment, surveillance technology, social credit scoring, and so on. Because there are quite a lot of things that many fellows are interested about China too.
Let me also add, as Casey would like to say often, once we have the incoming fellows selected, then we ask each fellow to express his or her particular interests that they have once they're in the program, and then we make some selection based on the expressed interests among the selected fellows. So we don't just try to impose our topics and our content on the fellows. Rather, we want to make sure that we actually match the interests of the fellows to the extent that we can. So I have the next question. I have applied last year, but was not selected. Can I reapply this year? If so, will I have a better chance to get in? So first, definitely you're welcome to reapply. We would like to examine the new situation you may have, new data, and so on. But on the other hand, so applicants who applied in the past may not have a better chance. We will look at all the applicants in the new pool in the same way with equal attention to everyone. Yeah. Thank you.
Well, can I supplement that by saying that, well, each year we want to have a suitable mix of fellows from different backgrounds. Obviously, we don't want to have too many fellows from one country. We don't want to have too many people coming from the same profession. We want a proper mix of gender balance and ethnic backgrounds and countries and so on. So if an applicant could not get selected in 1 year because of any of the above mentioned reasons, then obviously the chance of that applicant getting selected will be different in the next year.
Because can I also add, we put a lot of emphasis on geographical and regional representation. What I mean by that is we don't want to have more than 1 or 2 fellows from any given country. And also we don't want all the fellows from North America or South America or Africa or Europe or Asia. Instead, we have a few from Asia each year, a few from Europe, and a few from Africa, and a few from the American continent every year. So we try to diversify the geographical and regional representation.
All right, let's move on to the next question. Any after-program support so that fellows can take up issues in their own countries? Also, any fellow network? Well, this is a very good question. Indeed, it is something we treasure very much. The long-term objective of this AsiaGlobal Fellows Program is to nurture the development of a closely knit network of fellows, not only amongst the fellows of one cohort themselves, but also across different cohorts, so that, say, 10 years later, we will have a large number of AsiaGlobal fellows in different parts of the world. They feel proud being part of the network. They will help each other out. We will actually arrange activities to promote this fellowship network. We will try to promote cooperation and collaboration amongst the fellows, as well as between the fellows, background, the country, their professions, and the networks, and so on, with what we could do. Just give you an example. For example, last year, we had one fellow from Africa who helped to propagate ideas about African development amongst different institutions in Hong Kong. We had another fellow coming from the UK who worked closely with different vested interest stakeholders in Hong Kong in developing social impact financing, social impact bonds, and so on. So this is exactly the kind of things we want to foster.
Can I also add to this point? It is very, very much one of the key components when we design the program. That is, we want to build and maintain this very close global network of AsiaGlobal Fellows. So it is all in our interest to help our current and past fellows to really make more progress along their career path, to offer them help and so on. So in other words, without the development of a very close global network of AsiaGlobal Fellows, we will not really have a successful program. So it is a very important thing for us. In fact, we always say to our fellows that anytime they come to Hong Kong, treat the AsiaGlobal Institute as their home in Hong Kong, treat all the fellows as part of the same family.
Well, actually, just to strengthen that point further, from time to time, we organize activities for homecoming for past fellows. This is typically through the AsiaGlobal Dialogue, which is a signature event of the AsiaGlobal Institute every year. Apart from that, I think Zhiwu is too humble to mention this, but Zhiwu has actually helped a number of fellows to move on to their next level of career development in different ways.
Okay, so the next question is, what is the exact amount of the monthly stipend? It's 12,000 Hong Kong dollars a month for each fellow. Usually, this is paid at the beginning of each month in cash.
Well, just for those who are not very familiar with the Hong Kong dollar, 7.8 Hong Kong dollar is equivalent to $1 US. The next question is, any support from AGI to help me get sabbatical leave? Well, obviously we will provide all the support we could, but at the end of the day, I think it would be the fellows or the chosen fellows' responsibility to discuss with their employers regarding leave arrangements, work arrangements, and so on. We expect the fellows to spend quite a lot of time when they are taking up this fellowship. So we don't want to be working full-time off-site while they are in Hong Kong. So this is something I think the fellows have to make arrangements with their employers. But we will provide proof of acceptance as our fellow. We will provide whatever information your employer needs from us.
Okay, so the next question is, what will be the accommodation arrangement for overseas fellows and local fellows? The answer is very simple. We would like all the fellows to develop very close bond with each other, and great friendship among the fellows is very, very important to us. So we have arranged for all the fellows to stay at the best guest house on the Hong Kong U campus, which is called the Robert Black College. So during the whole 13 weeks in Hong Kong, all the fellows are supposed to live in this guest house. Actually, the guest house is very nice, very historical. So far, I've not seen anyone who has not been impressed with the uniqueness of the Robert Black College complex. So every fellow will be given a place to live in on the Hong Kong U campus, so that so each fellow will actually develop a very good, close connection to Hong Kong U as well.
The next question is actually very closely related to this subject. Can my spouse or family come with me to Hong Kong for the program? Well, as Zhiwu mentioned just now, we provide accommodation for every fellow in Robert Black College at the University of Hong Kong. The Robert Black College is not a luxury 5-star hotel, but it provides very decent and very reasonable accommodation. Typically, it will be the size of a double room, but it would be big enough if you have a small child. The experience we had in the past was, for example, last year we had one fellow coming from the UK with her husband together with a very small girl. That small girl actually took a term of kindergarten while she was in Hong Kong. We had another fellow coming from another part of the world who also wanted to have her husband and daughter staying in Hong Kong, but then at the end she decided to stay in Hong Kong on their own. And well, the other related issue is cooking and food eating. Some fellows initially wanted to cook while they are in Hong Kong, but then I think for those of you who may not be very familiar with Hong Kong has a lot of restaurants covering a very wide range of cuisine with all kinds of prices and quality choices. So actually, at the end of the day, our experience in the last 2 years was that most, if not all, the fellows at the end will not cook in the campus. They will choose to eat out, and actually eating out at the end becomes another very important chance for the fellows to build up a very close network.
So it was actually last year, 3 fellows brought their families with them. So you should, it's not a strange thing or new thing to us for a fellow to bring his or her family along. We understand, a 3-month stay in Hong Kong and away from home may be a challenge for some families. So we do want to accommodate each fellow in this way to the extent we can. So the next question is, can Central Asian applicants attend the program? Yes, certainly. We do welcome applicants from Central Asia as well as from other parts of the world. So in fact, last year we had 1 fellow from Mongolia. So this year, if we can get 1 or even 2 fellows from Central Asia or Central Europe, Eastern Europe, and so on, that would be great. So we really would like to make that happen.
Well, the next question is, what is the minimum experience required for the program? Well, we look for what we call mid-career individuals who have good leadership potential. We don't have any specific age or experience requirement, but we typically would look for, well, if you look at the last 2 years, the fellows who ended up chosen by us typically would be in the early to mid-30s all the way up to the early 40s. We wouldn't rule out other possibilities, but that are the majority of our fellows. But before we move on, let me just supplement one earlier point regarding family members. We had one fellow last year, a lady who brought her husband along. Her husband actually spent 3 months in Hong Kong. Part of what he did in Hong Kong was to enjoy hiking in Hong Kong, bird watching in Hong Kong. He has visited so many places in Hong Kong, he could actually almost write a travel diary. Hong Kong has a lot to offer for the spouses depending on his or her interest.
Okay, so the next question is, what should we include in the research outline? This is a very good question because for our program, you know, every fellow will come here to work on a policy research topic, of course chosen by the fellow himself or herself. So in order to make the most out of the program, each fellow should prepare a research outline you know, before coming here, so that by the time the fellow arrives in Hong Kong, he or she is already you know, far along enough about the research topic, so that the remaining 3 months can be really maximized in terms of productivity. So we don't have a particular specific requirement for the research outline in terms of the number of words or the number of pages, but the research outline should be informed, detailed enough, so that we can actually see that you know, once the fellow arrives here, he or she can really launch the project very quickly.
The next question is closely related to this. The question is, policy research paper require primary research in Hong Kong? Well, we don't have any specific requirement on the policy research project of each fellow. And experiences in the past also show that different fellows choose very different subjects of very different nature. Most of them have projects that that they could do something in Hong Kong because they take advantage of the fact that they're in Hong Kong, and there are also resources in Hong Kong that are relevant to their area of interest. Some of them take advantage of the various academic resources in Hong Kong, the library resources in Hong Kong, the network of different professions and business networks in Hong Kong, and so on. Some of them also work on their own area of interest. For example, an African fellow worked on a subject related to Africa, while he has some spare time in Hong Kong because he is no longer involved in full-time work, so he could take advantage of that period of time to do certain work related to Africa. So there is no fixed format.
So actually, let me also add, you know, last year a fellow from Nepal, you know, did all his work around the question, how can the Nepalese government make the best use of the diaspora Nepalese living in Hong Kong, because there are over 50,000 Nepalese citizens and immigrants living and working in Hong Kong. And then this fellow found that you know, there are so many types of resources that the Nepalese government has never really made use of. So his research was all on a policy proposal, which he brought back in the end back home to present to the different ministries and government offices in Nepal to help really the economic development frontier in Nepal after he goes back. So the next question is, how detailed should the research be? This is actually also a very good question. We don't have a particular requirement. So the main one good rule of thumb criterion is, your research should be detailed enough that you can actually present your research as a policy proposal to your home country's relevant decision-making agencies and so on. So you should have your own judgment, as to what is an acceptable policy proposal that you can show to others and convince them that your policy proposal is very well grounded, very well researched, and backed by evidence and data.
Yeah. Well, we also encourage the fellows to publish their research results in different forms. One of the possibilities is to write an article of about 1,000 words in length for our AsiaGlobal online journal. And there are also other possibilities too. Because in the interest of time, I think we have to deal with the last question before we close this webinar. The last question that we want to deal with is, what about income sources in Hong Kong? Are fellows obliged to only dedicate time to the program? First of all, I think we have to make it very clear upfront that all the fellows would come to Hong Kong on a student visa. We will support the fellows to apply for a student visa from the Immigration Department of the Hong Kong of the Hong Kong government. This student visa will not allow fellows to work in Hong Kong. Working in Hong Kong on a student visa is against the law and subject to legal consequences. So they come to Hong Kong on a student visa, and their time should be dedicated to the program. They could not involve themselves in any paid work. I think this has to be made very clear upfront.
So yeah, let me also add. Every fellow is supposed to participate fully in all the program activities, but at the same time, you're not forbidden from spending time weekends, Fridays with local communities of people from your own country and so on. In fact, in the past, almost every fellow would find ways to get connected to the migrant community from his or her home country. So we do encourage every fellow to spend time away with other communities, as long as he and she can actually take part in every program activity.
Well, actually, to supplement further Zhiwu's point, almost all the fellows, because they spend 13 weeks in Hong Kong, after the first few weeks, when they start to understand more about Hong Kong University, the community, the various connections, and so on, they all start to have ideas as to what they could do, that they could take advantage of the time in Hong Kong to get certain things prepared for future work when they get back to the home countries. We have a fellow, for example, who later on came back to build collaboration between the University of Hong Kong and a university in her own country. So there are many possibilities when you spend 13 weeks in Hong Kong.
Okay, so in the interest of time, let me offer a quick closing remark. So I have to warn you that I'm going to do some marketing here. As I said at the beginning, today in the world, whether we're talking about the US or Brazil and other South American countries, and then in Asian countries, China, India, Japan, or European and African countries and so on. There are many, many things going on, happening. And from our perspective, some of the crazy things are really a result of misunderstanding of other cultures, other countries, other people's perspectives, and so on. So as a result, countries can really still make decisions, even though their understanding of other cultures, other countries is very limited. So our purpose here for this program, for designing this program, offering this program, is really to offer future leaders opportunities to learn more about Asia, not only about China, but also other Asian countries, but also allow our fellows to really develop a better understanding of other cultures, other countries, through interacting with fellows from other countries for the 13-week period. So this kind of communication and spending time together with fellows and future leaders from other countries can do a lot to enhance our fellows' future careers and to improve their future success prospects. So we do want to say again, you're welcome to apply to our program, and then we'd like to really select the best future leader prospects to join our program.
Well, with that, I think we have to draw this to a close. Thank you very much again for attending. Unfortunately, we could not answer every question, but as I said at the beginning, you're welcome to write to us. You can see a lot of the details on about this program on our website, and please feel free to contact us. The deadline for application is in January. Please take action.
Bye.